been taught to chase the light, to stay positive, to radiate joy, to be high vibration. Every morning you wake up and repeat your affirmations. You stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself you're abundant, you're worthy, you're magnetic. You visualize your dream life in perfect detail. The house, the relationship, the bank account, the freedom. You meditate, you journal, you sage your space. You arrange your crystals according to the lunar cycle. You do everything you're told will raise your frequency. You follow the influencers, you buy the courses, you attend the workshops, you read the books. But deep down, something feels off. Like you're performing spirituality instead of living it. Like you're wearing a mask made of mantras and manifestation techniques, and beneath that mask, there's something raw and real that you're not allowed to show. There's doubt, there's fear, there's exhaustion from trying so hard to be enlightened. There's a quiet voice that whispers in the 3 a.m. darkness, "Why isn't this working? Why, after all this effort, does your reality still look the same? Why do the same patterns keep repeating? Why does the universe seem to ignore your carefully crafted intentions? What if I told you that's not how the field works? What if everything you've been taught about vibration is only half the truth? The sanitized, commercialized, Instagram-friendly half? What if the real mechanism of reality creation has nothing to do with being positive all the time? True quantum frequency isn't about being happy all the time. It's not about suppressing the darkness and amplifying the light until you're practically glowing with toxic positivity. It's not about spiritual bypassing dressed up as enlightenment. It's about being coherent. When your mind, heart, and body speak the same language, when there's no internal contradiction, no spiritual performance, no pretending, that's when reality listens. That's when the quantum field stops reflecting chaos and starts reflecting clarity. Most people are broadcasting mixed signals into the quantum field every single moment. They think thoughts of abundance while their stomach tightens with scarcity. They speak words of confidence while their posture collapses with insecurity. They say, "I'm grateful," while their nervous system screams, "I'm terrified this won't last." They visualize love while believing, in the deepest part of themselves, that they're unlovable. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It doesn't care about your vision board or your carefully curated social media posts about manifestation. It doesn't reward you for having the longest gratitude list or doing the most advanced meditation technique. It responds to your resonance, to the actual electromagnetic frequency that emerges when every layer of you, conscious and unconscious, spoken and unspoken, shown and hidden, vibrates as one unified field. And right now, as you watch this, something in you is beginning to remember, not learn. Remember. Because this isn't new information being downloaded into your brain. This is ancient knowing, rising from the depths of your cellular memory. This is the wisdom your soul carried before it entered this body. This is the truth that every quantum particle in your being has always known. You're not here by accident. The algorithm didn't randomly suggest this video. Something deeper orchestrated this moment. Here's what they don't tell you about vibration, what they conveniently leave out of the Raise Your Vibe teachings. The part that doesn't fit neatly into an Instagram carousel or a 30-second TikTok. It's not about feeling good. It's about being real. Let me explain what's actually happening at the quantum level, and I mean the actual physics, not the watered-down spiritual interpretation. Every emotion you experience generates a measurable electromagnetic signature. This isn't metaphor. This isn't woo-woo. This is documented science. Your heart produces an electromagnetic field that extends anywhere from 3 to 6 feet beyond your physical body. This field is 5,000 times stronger than the electromagnetic field produced by your brain. Your heart's electromagnetic field can be measured by instruments called magnetometers, and it carries encoded information, patterns that reflect your emotional state. Your brain generates waves, alpha, beta, theta, delta, gamma, that don't just stay locked inside your skull. They radiate outward, interacting with what physicists call the zero-point field, the quantum fabric of reality itself, the invisible ocean of potential in which all particles swim, waiting for observation to collapse them into form. When you think a thought, you're not just having a private mental experience happening solely between your ears. You're sending ripples through the field. You're broadcasting a frequency into the quantum substrate of existence. You're literally changing the probability waves around you. And that frequency doesn't just disappear into the void like smoke dissipating in air. It arranges particles, it influences probabilities, it affects the spin states of quantum particles in your immediate environment. It literally shapes what manifests in your physical reality. But here's the crucial part they miss in all those raise your vibration teachings. The field doesn't respond to the frequency you're trying to project. It doesn't reward effort or good intentions. It responds to the frequency you're actually emitting from the totality of your being. And most of the time, those two things are completely devastatingly different. You can say affirmations all day long until your voice goes hoarse. You can visualize your dream life in such perfect detail that you can taste it, smell it, feel the texture of it. You can meditate until your legs go numb and your mind achieves temporary stillness. But if underneath all of that conscious effort there's unprocessed grief sitting in your chest like a stone, if there's unacknowledged rage burning in your solar plexus, if there's suppressed shame hiding in your sacral center, if there's childhood terror still locked in your nervous system, then that's the frequency you're broadcasting. Not the affirmations, not the visualizations, not the meditation insights. The unintegrated emotion is always louder than the spiritual practice, always. The quantum field doesn't judge your darkness. It doesn't punish you for having shadow emotions or negative feelings. It doesn't care if you're angry or sad or afraid or resentful. It only reflects what's consistent, what's coherent, what's unified across all levels of your being. A person fully aligned with their anger, someone who owns it, integrates it, understands its message, allows it to move through them without suppression, will manifest faster than someone faking gratitude while their heart drowns in resentment. This is verifiable through biofeedback measurements. The person who's authentically angry shows coherence in their heart rate variability. The person who's pretending to be grateful while suppressing anger shows chaos incoherence in their electromagnetic signature. And the field mirrors that incoherence back as chaotic manifestations. Because coherence is power. Coherence is the key that unlocks the quantum door. When all parts of you agree, when there's no internal civil war between what you show the world and what you actually feel, the field has no choice but to respond with clarity. That's the observer effect in action. Not the simplified version they teach in manifestation courses, but the real quantum mechanical principle. Your awareness collapses the wave function of probability into the particle of material reality. But it only works when the signal is clear, when there's no static, no interference, no contradiction between your conscious desires and your subconscious beliefs, when there's no war between your heart and your head, when there's no disconnect between your words and your nervous system. Think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to tune into a radio station. Let's say it's playing the exact song you want to hear, your favorite song, the one that makes your soul come alive. If the signal is weak or filled with static, you get noise. You might hear fragments of the melody, a word here, a chord there. But it's distorted, unclear, frustrating. You keep adjusting the dial, trying to find that sweet spot where the signal comes through crystal clear. But if there's interference, if there are multiple frequencies competing, you'll never get clean reception. Now imagine your consciousness is the radio transmitter, and reality is the receiver. When your signal is incoherent, when your thoughts say one thing, your emotions say another, and your body says something else entirely. Reality receives static. It manifests the average of your mixed signals, which usually means more of the same. More confusion. More chaos. More of what you don't want, mixed with glimpses of what you do want, creating a life that feels frustratingly close to your desires but never quite there. But when the signal is strong and clean, crystal clear reception, reality has no choice but to tune into your frequency and play it back to you. That's what coherence does to your manifestation ability. It's not about trying harder, it's about integrating deeper. High vibration isn't about spiritual bypassing. It's not about pretending you're fine when you're falling apart. It's not about plastering a smile on your face and repeating, "I'm so blessed," when you're barely holding it together. It's not about performing gratitude for an audience of spiritual peers who are all performing their own version of the same exhausting charade. That's not high vibration. That's dissonance. And dissonance, internal contradiction, is actually the lowest frequency there is. Lower than authentic anger. Lower than honest grief. Lower than admitted fear. Because at least those emotions are real. At least they're coherent within themselves. True high vibration comes from integration. It's about taking every frequency within you, the shadow and the light, the pain and the joy, the fear and the courage, the doubt and the certainty, and allowing them to vibrate as one unified field. Not transcending them, not transmuting them, not bypassing them, integrating them, welcoming them home, giving them a seat at the table of your consciousness. That's when the magic happens. That's when synchronicities start appearing like breadcrumbs on your path. That's when doors open that you didn't even know existed. That's when people and opportunities find you instead of you having to chase them. That's when reality recalibrates to match the truth of who you are. Not who you're trying to be, who you are. Let's do something together right now. Something that will shift this from intellectual understanding to embodied knowing. I want you to feel this, not just understand it with your mind. If you can, close your eyes for a moment. If you're driving or need to keep watching, just soften your gaze. Let your vision blur slightly. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Feel your lungs expand, feel your ribcage open. Hold it for a moment at the top of the breath. Feel the stillness there, the pause between inhale and exhale, and release. Let it go. Surrender it. Again. Breathe in. This time, breathe in like you're drawing energy up from the earth beneath you, from the molten core of the planet, from the ancient stone, from the mycelial networks that connect all living things. Draw that energy up through your feet, through your legs, into the base of your spine. Hold it and release. Now imagine, or maybe you can actually feel it, a golden thread of light beginning to form. It starts at the crown of your head, where infinite consciousness pours into your physical form, like light through a prism. This is your connection to the quantum field, to Source, to the unified field of all possibility. The light moves down through your third eye, that space between your eyebrows where perception becomes reality, where the observer effect happens, where consciousness collapses potential into form. Feel it activating, tingling, awakening. The golden thread continues down through your throat where truth seeks expression, where your authentic voice lives, not the voice that says what others want to hear, but the voice that speaks your soul's truth. Feel any constriction here, any tightness, any words that were never spoken. Breathe into it. Let the golden light dissolve the blockage now into your heart center, your chest, where love and wounds coexist in the same sacred space, where joy and grief are two sides of the same coin, where you've been protecting yourself with walls built from old pain. The golden light doesn't break through these walls, it doesn't need to. It simply reminds them that they're made of the same consciousness as everything else. And walls made of consciousness can become doors whenever they choose. Feel your heart softening, opening. Not because you're forcing it, but because it remembers this frequency, it remembers safety. Down now through your solar plexus, your power center, where will and action originate, where your personal fire burns or where it's been dampened by years of giving your power away. The golden light reignites this flame, not as aggression or domination, but as authentic personal power. The power to choose, to create, to say yes and to say no with equal clarity. Into your sacral center, just below your navel, where creation itself pulses with life, where pleasure lives, where sensuality resides, where your creative life force flows. This is where you create reality, not with your mind, but with your entire being. Feel it awakening, stirring, moving like water, and finally into your root, the base of your spine. Connecting you to the earth beneath your feet, to physical reality, to your body, to the here and now. Not spiritual bypassing into some higher realm, but arriving fully in this moment, in this body, in this life. The golden thread is complete now. From crown to root, from heaven to earth, from consciousness to matter. This isn't just imagination. This is alignment. This is your energy body remembering its original blueprint. With every breath, you're tuning into the quantum rhythm of existence. The same rhythm that spirals galaxies into being. The same rhythm that guides planets in their perfectly calculated orbits. The same rhythm that grows an oak tree from a tiny acorn, with every cell knowing exactly what to become. The same rhythm that transforms a single fertilized cell into a human being with trillions of cells, each one performing its role in the magnificent symphony of your body. This rhythm has been here since before time began. It will be here after the last star burns out, and it's inside you right now. Feel it. That subtle hum beneath the thoughts. That gentle pulse beneath the emotions. That stillness beneath the noise of your daily life. That peaceful presence beneath the chaos of your mind. That is your true frequency. Not manufactured by affirmations or positive thinking. Not created by any external technique or practice. Not dependent on your circumstances being perfect or your emotions being positive. Just you. The essence of you. The consciousness that was here before your first thought formed. The awareness that will remain after your last breath leaves your body. The quantum presence that has been observing every moment of your life without judgment. In perfect resonance with the field. Can you feel it? That sense of coming home to yourself? That recognition, like remembering a dream you forgot you had. That's not a metaphor. That's not your imagination playing tricks on you. That's your electromagnetic signature settling into coherence. That's your heart rate variability synchronizing. That's your nervous system recognizing safety for perhaps the first time in years. That's your body remembering what peace actually feels like when it's not being forced or performed. Stay here for another breath, just one more. Let this frequency anchor into your cells. Let it recalibrate your baseline. Let your body remember that this is available to you at any moment. Not just when you're meditating or watching videos about consciousness, but always, because this is your natural state. This is who you are beneath all the conditioning. Everything else, the anxiety, the doubt, the constant striving, the spiritual performance, that's the distortion. This is truth. When you're ready, take another deep breath. Feel the air on your skin, hear the sounds around you, and gently open your eyes. Welcome back. But notice something is different now. The room looks the same, but you're seeing it from a slightly shifted perspective. That shift is real. That shift is quantum. Now here's the part that changes everything, the part that might actually set you free from the endless cycle of spiritual self-improvement. You were never broken. Read that again. You were never broken. You were never low vibration. You were never fundamentally flawed or spiritually behind or cosmically deficient. You were never too wounded to manifest, too traumatized to align, too damaged to deserve the life you want. Every message that told you you needed to be fixed was a lie designed to sell you the fix. You were just fragmented, and there's a massive difference between broken and fragmented. Broken things need to be replaced. Fragmented things need to be reunited. Pieces of you scattered across timelines, traumas, and stories that were never yours to carry. Parts of you split off during moments when your nervous system couldn't process what was happening. When you were 5 years old and learned that your emotions were too much, too intense, too inconvenient, so you split off your emotional self and learned to live only in your head. When you were 12 and experienced something shameful, something you couldn't tell anyone, so you split off that memory and the part of you that holds it. When you were 16 and your heart was shattered, so you split off your ability to trust and locked it away where it couldn't hurt you again. When you were 23 and failed spectacularly at something that mattered, so you split off your confidence and replaced it with vigilant self-protection. This is called dissociation in psychology, it's called fragmentation in trauma theory, and it's called incoherence in quantum physics. All three are describing the same thing, a unified system breaking into parts to survive, aspects of you hidden away because the world told you they weren't acceptable. Your anger split off because good spiritual people don't get angry. Your sexuality split off because enlightened beings transcend base desires. Your ambition split off because wanting things is attachment. Your vulnerability split off because strong people don't need help. Your grief split off because you needed to keep functioning. Your joy split off because it felt dangerous to be that open. Frequencies of you suppressed because you learned that anger wasn't spiritual, that sadness wasn't high vibe, that fear meant you weren't manifesting correctly. So you started performing the acceptable emotions, started broadcasting the right frequency, started wearing the mask of the enlightened person you thought you needed to become. And all the while, the split-off parts were still broadcasting their own frequencies from the unconscious, still affecting your electromagnetic signature, still influencing what manifests. But now you couldn't see them, couldn't work with them, couldn't integrate them because you'd convinced yourself they didn't exist. You'd spiritually bypassed them right into your shadow. But here's what quantum physics actually tells us. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed. The first law of thermodynamics isn't just true for physical energy, it's true for emotional energy, psychic energy, life force energy, which means those parts of you, the ones you've been trying to transcend or transmute or positive think away, they don't need to be eliminated. They can't be eliminated. Energy doesn't work that way. They need to be integrated. Welcomed home, seen, acknowledged, accepted, and reunited with the whole. The real quantum shift isn't about raising your frequency, it's not about vibrating higher until you transcend your humanity. It's about reclaiming your frequency. All of it, every note in your symphony, every color in your spectrum, every frequency you've ever been. When you stop pretending, when you stop performing spirituality for an audience that doesn't exist, when you finally allow yourself to feel what you actually feel, not what you think you should feel, not what would make you look spiritual, but what's actually true in your body right now. That's when the field recognizes you. That's when coherence becomes possible. Let me tell you something that might sound paradoxical, maybe even heretical in spiritual circles. Sometimes, the highest vibration available to you in a given moment is grief. Deep, honest, soul-shaking grief. Not the pretty, Instagram-worthy kind of sadness with a sunset in the background and a caption about growth. Not the everything happens for a reason spiritual bypass, but the raw, ugly, can't catch your breath kind of grief that comes when you finally stop running from what broke your heart. Why is that high vibration? Because it's true. Because it's coherent. Because every cell of your being is aligned with that grief, not fighting it, not trying to transcend it, not pretending it's something else. And in that moment of complete authenticity, you're more powerful than you've ever been while pretending to be grateful. Because the universe doesn't speak the language of perfection. It doesn't respond to spiritual performance. It speaks the language of authenticity. And authenticity, radical, complete, undefended authenticity, is the highest frequency there is. Think about the people in your life who have that undeniable magnetic presence. The ones who walk into a room and everything shifts, not because they're trying to shift it, but because their presence alone changes the frequency of the space. Are they always happy? No. Are they always positive? Absolutely not. Are they enlightened masters who've transcended all human emotion? Not even close. But they're real. They're integrated. They've made peace with their complexity. They've stopped fragmenting themselves into acceptable and unacceptable parts. They've gathered all their frequencies, high and low, light and shadow, and allowed them to coexist without internal warfare. And that creates a gravitational pull in the quantum field. You see, the people who manifest effortlessly, who seem to attract miracles without trying, aren't the ones meditating 8 hours a day. They're not the ones with the longest gratitude lists or the most crystals on their altar or the most spiritual books on their shelf. They're not the ones performing the most elaborate manifestation rituals. They're the ones who've stopped lying to themselves, the ones who've looked at their shadow and said, "You're mine too." The ones who've sat with their rage and asked them, "What are you trying to tell me?" The ones who've held their grief and whispered, "I see you. You're allowed to be here." They've integrated their pain instead of transcending it. They've honored their anger instead of transmuting it. They've befriended their fear instead of conquering it. They've made peace with their humanity instead of constantly trying to ascend beyond it. And from that wholeness, miracles emerge. Not because they did the right technique, not because they finally figured out the secret, not because they manifested hard enough or believed perfectly enough or visualized clearly enough, but because there's no resistance left, no part of them fighting against another part, no conscious mind trying to override the subconscious. No spiritual ego trying to bypass the human experience, no performance, no pretending, no internal civil war. Just coherence. The signal is pure. The frequency is clear. Unified across all levels of being, integrated across all aspects of self, whole. And reality has no choice but to reflect that coherence back to them. This is why some people can meditate for decades and stay completely stuck in the same patterns, while others have one moment of brutal honesty with themselves and their entire life transforms overnight. It's not about the technique. It's never been about the technique. The technique is just a vehicle for arriving at truth. And if the technique helps you avoid truth, bypass truth, or perform a more spiritual version of yourself instead of meeting yourself as you actually are, then it's working against you. The quantum field is a mirror. It doesn't respond to what you want it to see. It doesn't reward you for having the right spiritual image. It responds to what you actually are, to the frequency you're actually broadcasting when you strip away the performance. And when you finally stop fragmenting yourself into acceptable and unacceptable parts, when you finally gather all your frequencies, high and low, light and shadow, joy and pain, certainty and doubt, and let them exist simultaneously without judgment, when you finally stop being at war with yourself, that's when you become a superconductor for reality creation. That's when the laws of manifestation stop feeling like work and start feeling like flow. That's when synchronicity becomes your baseline instead of your exception. That's when you stop chasing your desires and start allowing them to find you. That's when you realize you were never trying to become high vibration. You were always trying to become whole. So let me ask you something. Really ask you. Not rhetorically, not as some scripted part of a video, but as an invitation into deeper truth. A truth that's been waiting for you to be ready to hear it. What would happen if you stopped trying to be high vibe and just allowed yourself to be whole? What if you gave yourself permission right now, in this moment, to stop performing? What if you let yourself be exactly as you are, with all the messy, complicated, contradictory frequencies you contain? What if the very thing you've been rejecting about yourself, the emotion you've been suppressing, the part you've been hiding, the frequency you've been trying to transcend, is actually the key to your alignment? What if your anger isn't something to transmute with white light and positive affirmations, but something to listen to? What if it's showing you exactly where your boundaries have been violated? Exactly where your power has been given away? Exactly where your truth has been silenced? What if your anger is a sacred messenger trying to lead you back to your sovereignty? What if your sadness isn't evidence of low vibration or spiritual failure, but evidence of deep love? You can only grieve what mattered. You can only mourn what was precious. Your sadness isn't a problem to fix with gratitude practices. It's medicine to feel, wisdom to receive, love expressing itself as loss. What if your fear isn't blocking your manifestations but protecting something vulnerable within you? What if it's trying to keep you safe until you're truly ready for what you're calling in? What if it's showing you exactly what you need to heal, strengthen, or prepare before you can hold what you desire? What if your anxiety isn't a sign that you're doing it wrong, but a signal that you're carrying too much, trying to control too much, fragmenting yourself across too many possible timelines simultaneously? What if it's your nervous system begging you to come back to the present moment, back to your body, back to the only place where reality actually exists? What if every uncomfortable emotion you've been taught to avoid, transcend, or transmute is actually a frequency of intelligence? A messenger from your soul, a compass pointing you toward integration, a guide back to coherence? What if the path to your highest vibration doesn't go up and out into some transcendent realm beyond the human experience, but down and in, into the depths you've been avoiding, into the feelings you've been suppressing, into the truth you've been afraid to speak, even to yourself, into the wholeness that's been waiting beneath all the spiritual performance, into the body you've been trying to ascend beyond, into the humanity you've been trying to transcend, into the darkness you've been taught is the opposite of light, when really it's just the other half of the same whole. Here's what I know to be true. After years of this work, after thousands of conversations, after witnessing countless transformations, the shift isn't coming. It's not happening tomorrow after you complete one more healing session. It's not waiting on the other side of one more course, one more certification, one more spiritual awakening. It's not going to happen when you finally get your frequency high enough, when you finally master manifestation, when you finally become enlightened enough. It's already here. It started the moment you pressed play on this video. Actually, it started before that. It started when something inside you, something deeper than your conscious awareness, recognized the title of this video and knew you needed to see it. Not because this video is special. Not because I have some secret knowledge that will save you. Not because these words contain some magic formula you've been missing. But because you are ready. Something in you has been preparing for this moment. Something deeper than your conscious mind guided you here. You're not here by accident. The algorithm didn't randomly surface this video. The quantum field orchestrated this moment because you're ready to remember something you've always known. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need to transcend your humanity. You don't need to become someone different, someone more spiritual, someone higher vibe. You need to come home to yourself, all of yourself, every frequency, every feeling, every part you've been at war with. And now that you remember, everything changes, not all at once. I won't promise you that tomorrow you'll wake up and your entire life will be transformed. That's not how integration works. It doesn't happen in some dramatic cosmic explosion where everything suddenly becomes perfect. It happens quietly, subtly, powerfully, cell by cell, as your body releases the armor it's been carrying for years, maybe decades. Breath by breath, as your nervous system learns what safety actually feels like instead of just performing safety. Frequency by frequency, and as you integrate the parts of yourself you've been at war with. Memory by memory, as you reclaim the pieces you split off to survive. Moment by moment, as you practice radical authenticity instead of spiritual performance. You'll start noticing things. Small things at first. Synchronicities that feel too perfect, too precisely timed to be coincidence. Opportunities appearing exactly when you need them, as if reality was reading your mind. People suddenly seeing you differently, responding to you differently, treating you differently, not because you changed something external, but because your electromagnetic signature has changed. Not because you're manifesting harder, not because you finally did the technique right, but because you're present differently, you're showing up differently. You're broadcasting coherence instead of contradiction, truth instead of performance, wholeness instead of fragments. And the quantum field, that invisible ocean of potential that responds to your every thought, your every emotion, your every frequency, has been waiting for this. It's been waiting for you to stop trying to be something you're not, for you to stop chasing some idealized version of spirituality that requires you to abandon half of your humanity, for you to stop performing enlightenment and start embodying authenticity, for you to finally understand that you don't need to fix yourself because you were never broken. You were just fragmented, and fragments can come home. Fragments can integrate. Fragments can remember they were always part of the whole. So here's your invitation. Stop trying to raise your vibration. Start reclaiming it, all of it. The light you've been polishing until it blinds you, and the shadow you've been hiding from everyone, including yourself. The joy that feels too vulnerable to fully feel, and the grief that feels too heavy to carry. The power you're afraid to own, and the vulnerability you're afraid to show. The certainty that feels like arrogance, and the doubt that feels like failure. Every frequency is medicine. Every emotion is intelligence. Every part of you is holy, yes, even that part, especially that part. The part you've been most ashamed of, the part you've been most afraid of, the part you've been told isn't spiritual. That part holds your power, that part holds your authenticity, that part is the key to your coherence. Until one day, maybe tomorrow, maybe next month, maybe next year, you look around and realize you're no longer chasing vibration like it's something outside of you. You are the vibration. You're no longer seeking alignment like it's a destination you haven't reached. You are the alignment. You're no longer trying to manifest reality like you're separate from it. You are reality manifesting itself through the unique frequency of your existence. And that realization, that moment of recognition, that's the real quantum shift. Not transcendence, not ascension, not escaping the human experience for some higher realm where everything is light and love and positive vibes, but embodiment. Fully arriving in the here and now, fully inhabiting every cell of your being, fully claiming the frequency you were born to be. Not perfect, not always positive, not perpetually high vibe, but real, coherent, whole, true. Authentically, unapologetically, completely you. And that truth, that frequency that emerges when you stop performing and start being, that's the frequency that changes worlds. That's the frequency that creates miracles. That's the frequency that the quantum field has been waiting for. Not your spiritual performance, not your carefully curated high-vibe persona, but the raw, real, integrated totality of who you are. That frequency is the most powerful force in your reality, and you've had access to it all along. You just needed permission to stop trying to be anything other than yourself. Consider this that permission. The message was meant for you and you felt it, not in your mind, analyzing and understanding, but in that subtle shift in your chest. That quiet knowing that something just changed. That's not emotion. That's recognition. That's your frequency remembering itself. Welcome home.